Tell me when we're live.
I think we're live.
Oh, we are live, so it's all good. Hey guys, Tom and Bryan here. Just out of curiosity, so you might be wondering, what is a realtor convention, the vibrant city of Nashville, and a dive bar have to do with Max House Price? You won't believe it. T, you
It's a
want?
pr Yeah, it's a pretty crazy story. And I was thinking about it, and I know we've like talked about it probably in passing to folks, but I don't think like they ever have heard like the whole story of um, just some of the things. So yeah, we're excited to just kind of share how Max House Price came to be. So we're just gonna jump in. We value your guys' time, and let's go. So this was in the fall of 2018, right? I think it's like September, October, something like that. And I had spent the last 12 years at the premier rehab and wholesale firm in the DMV, and it was a phenomenal experience. Learned a ton, but it was time for a change. And when I was thinking about that, like there was a couple people that came to mind that like I needed to reach out of other real estate professionals and entrepreneurs that I knew. And Brian, you were on the top of my list. I think we started texting and chatting more than we had ever been before. And we had known each other, man, what was it, like 2005, something like that. So
2005, yeah. You're
so
a booster
kind
order too.
of got to see your journey as you grew TVRG homes and like all the stuff that you were doing. And we'd get together, have breakfast or lunch, and just kind of share with each other. And I was like, Brian, I have some ideas that I think from challenges you've shared with me about TVRG homes. I'm like, man, I think I can like, I don't remember how many people you had at that time, but I was probably like, I was definitely selling them. Like if Brian had 10, I'm like, man, you should have 20 agents, 20 agents. You should have like 40 agents because, as Brian always says, like if everyone's going left, he's going right. And like, there's no question he does that. So I'm like, man, like I can really help you. And so Brian invited me to this conference, to get exposed to some latest and greatest tactics and tricks down in Nashville. But I think you might have remembered it a little bit differently. You might have found someone who was a little too eager, someone who maybe needed to slow down a little bit and just simmer down for a second. Do you remember it the same way?
It's interesting. I had always had mad respect for you because when we would meet up, we'd always talk about like the residential real estate side, and then we talk about the investor and the flipping and the rehab side. And you and I just hit it off really well. And over the years, we just became friends. And when there was an opportunity, I was like, Tom's so technical, he's so smart. And even though I'm smart in a different way, I was like, there could be a potential opportunity for us to potentially work together. I didn't know what that looked like at the time, to be honest. And I was like, T, I'm going down to Nashville for this realtor convention. I was in this coaching program for teams. And you were like, Brian, you should be. I do remember you saying you only have 10, you should have 20, 30, you should have 40 agents. You should be capturing market share and going after it. And you were all over it. You were like, I'm going. I was like, what? He's going to go to freaking no way. And I got super pumped. I remember telling Beth, I was like, Beth, Tom Parmentier is going to go to Nashville with me. He's not even part of the convention, but you know what? I'll give him a ticket. And so that was a awesome trip that turned out to be very different than what I was expecting, which was really cool. Yeah, that
I think
was.
I, I think I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have Brian's attention for periods of time where I can just get him cornered and I can just be a bulldog and close him on some opportunity. I think that's probably what was going on. I don't think I had any interest in the conference, which is kind of funny because we're there. I'm not a big conference guy, a little get impatient. And it was great. I mean, got to meet some cool people. You introduced
Yes.
me to some other teams that you had networked with for a number of years. But it was probably like a 3-day conference. I think we're like a day and a half in. I'm like, Brian, I think I've heard and seen enough. Like, let's talk about business. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about what's next. What am I going to do? What might we be able to do together? I think you probably were thinking, you know what, you're going to go get your real estate license. You're going to sell some real estate. We'll see what happens, right? I remember you telling me that, like that was going to have to happen. I'm like, I'm
And
definitely not selling real estate.
no, and it was actually and I always tell the story, and I actually add a little bit, shocker. Um, I'm always like telling people, I'm like, yeah. So Tom was like, hey, I'm exploring some things. I'm looking at some different options. I was like, oh, Tom, you could be a realtor, and you're like, not doing that. I was like, oh, Tom, I got a property management company. You can help me scale that, and you're like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. No way.
I forgot about that. Yeah, property management. That
And
is
you're like,
not my interest at all.
and I was like, he's like, what else you got? And I was like, what? This is like a grocery store? Like you got this shelf and this product. And I remember it because then I was like, you know what? This is something else I had just recently started doing. And I had just finished with a client where client in
And we're
Wilbur.
sit and we're literally, by the way, this is where like I'm like, let's go talk. I think it was like after launch, we go, walk down Nashville, pop in like this teeniest bar ever, just to go have a beer and just talk. And I'm like, yeah. So what kind of, how do you remember that moment?
We were talking. I was like, the other thing, and I don't know if it was after half a beer, one beer, 7 beers. I'm just kidding. It was probably after a beer too. And I was just saying how I had just recently helped someone that didn't have the money to go ahead and improve their house before they wanted to sell it. And it was a referral. And so I was like, you know what? So what I did
And
was,
in fact, by the way, I don't mean to cut you off. They
yeah,
had contacted the company that I was running at the time, and we
yes.
weren't able to help them because they didn't have enough equity.
And so
Anyway,
I had a contractor. I was like, you know what? I can help you fix up your house. I'll pay for the renovations up front and then just pay me back at closing. And I remember distinctly, you were like, and it worked out. And they sold, they made profit. I got my money back. House sold for more than what we thought, which was awesome. And you were like, Brian, there's something there like that. That's a business right there. Like, and then we just started brainstorming. We just started like just bouncing ideas off of one another. Like, how can we make this a company? What does that look like? Who's involved? How does this work? How does all this like systems and processes? And I
I
remember
think I probably, how many questions do you think I asked you? It was like you were in a deposition. I think I probably asked you like 125 questions. I was like, wait a second, hold on. You did what? I'm like, okay, wait, explain to me how you secured yourself, how you were collateralized. What was your protect? I was like, well, wait a second. We need to work on this a little bit. But I'm like, wait a second. That's a business, Brian. You're like, what? You weren't even thinking about it at the time. It was just like a service you do for your clients, right? To help them sell to maximize the return on their largest investment, as any real estate professional wants to do, right?
well, and it was also a differentiator at that time where I could go ahead and I can be like, hey, you have a home you want to sell, you need to fix it up, do some landscaping, whatever. This is a service I would offer. And for the amount of money, I just want to make sure that one, I secured the listing and was able to help the client and be the representative and help them sell. But also was a value add because I was also driving an opportunity to a contractor or two. It just created this win-win opportunity, which was really cool. But
So this is
you asked
and
like
this
106 questions.
probably more than that. And what was kind of funny is I had heard someone had told me about another business in the DC metro market that was like a business that had started in like the last year or two. I knew very little about them. We started doing some research. We're sitting there talking, and I swear this totally true. Like the name doesn't make sense though. Like what is this company doing? Is it houses? Is it cars? Is it shoes? Like it was just a little confusing. And I'm like, you know what? They should be called Max House Price. So go type in Max House Price. It redirects to GoDaddy. And
And it
like
was
so like you hand me your phone, your credit card. I'm like, are we doing this? And we hadn't figured anything out. We're just like,
no idea.
and we literally were sitting in this bar in Nashville and we bought the domain maxhouseprice.com as we're sitting there. And it's kind of crazy, like looking back, at that moment to where we are now. We're almost finishing up, 5 years in business. Like, one, we were never thinking that we were just going to be this company for any realtor with any organization. We were kind of like, this is going to be like a unique selling proposition to TVRG homes and really help them. But that changed like super quick. And we were like, I remember calling him like, Brian, I just got a call from another agent and they want to use us to do some renovations. I'm like, are you okay with that? And we're like, I guess we should do that. Yeah. So 5 years later, we've done over 250 jobs now. Maybe that doesn't seem like a lot to you. Maybe it does. Like, it certainly seems like a lot to us. Looking back, I don't think we would have ever had goals that would have been, that lofty. This was like, could we do this once a month kind of thing? And man, it has been, I think it's taught us so much collectively together in the last 5 years that through this unexpected, success or journey, whatever you want to call it, that, it's completely kind of really changed the direction of both of our lives to some degree. I've moved because we're a virtual company, run it virtual. You've been, exposed to other things, and we've started as just doing pre-list renovations, and now we do a lot of regular retail renovations where we just renovate kitchens and bathrooms. Like, I never thought we would be doing that, and but it kind of goes back to things that you and I have both been doing all of our professional career, just doing service type businesses, right?
Well, I think also just because, I mean, I've been in the business over 20 years now. You've been in the real estate industry for a long time as well. I think what's really interesting more than anything else is that we actually went ahead and now we have a company with employees and benefits, and we're able to not only just serve the clients and our agents and our partnering agents and helping the seller net more at sale. We're also providing for families, and like we have a responsibility and an opportunity to disrupt the real estate industry and serve our clients, serve our agents, serve our team members and our employees and their families. And we don't take that lightly. And I think that the ability to give back like that and serve like that just leads right into like who we are, what we want, and how we want to serve, how we want to give back to the community. I think it's so rewarding, to be honest. It's awesome. It
Yeah, we
really is.
always said like whatever we have to do has to be, a win-win. And when we're able to come in and renovate someone's home and, provide the capital, we're able to pay contractors, they're able to get jobs, we're able to get a better listing that, obviously gets the owners more money. It helps the neighbors with the comparable sales of, not having an as is sale that maybe is, declining the values. I mean, it's real money. So of course, we're we're trying to make a profit too. And so like everyone wins at the end of the day. And I think that's something, early on that you and I decided like we're only going to do opportunities if it makes sense. Like our team routinely will turn stuff away where we're like, you know what, you don't need us. You need to go sell as is, because it just doesn't, what you got going on, it's not about money. You need to get out of your situation. We're very, in tune of, being a good steward, trying to lead people in the right direction. And I guess that's kind of why we're kicking this thing off and doing this is, there's this stewardship opportunity, I guess you could call it. We've talked about a lot, Brian and I, over the last year or two, and I've kind of hesitated this whole social media conundrum. Like, are you consuming? Are you participating? And, don't be on social media, be on social media. Like, the reality is we're in a social world, like we're more connected than ever. You can't avoid it. And we feel that there's an opportunity, Lord willing, to, be someone that can participate in that and, share our successes and most likely more of our failures, because at the end of the day, like that's where we learn. We don't learn from our success. Success, I feel like, just comes from repeatedly doing things, and eventually, it just kind of works out because you've put in that effort. But it's, for us, it's like, man, we've seen so much in real estate, having been in through the big recession and the crash and the short sales. And you talked about property management and, development stuff. I mean, there's between you and I that we've probably seen pretty much everything when it comes to residential real estate and construction.
I mean, it definitely feels like I've been in the business for over 100 years. Just in the markets I've been in. I mean, we've been in 3 different markets. We're in a shifting market right now. I think it's also very powerful, and I feel like you and I have an obligation to give back. We are givers. We want to serve, and so even the lessons that we've learned or the mistakes that we've made, and we can share with people, and they can take the meat and throw away the bones. But I think there's just the form and the opportunity to where in our careers and where we are, with our wisdom, and we're always learning, we're always trying to grow. But there's just a really good opportunity for us to do this and give back, and hopefully people see the value in it. And we're looking at make some friends along the way, which is really cool.
Yeah, so the plan right now is, Tuesdays will be coming to you live. Let us know what things would be valuable to you to hear about. Like, I mean, remember the old adage, like, there's no stupid question because you don't know what you don't know. So, real estate, entrepreneurship, um, what's it like working with your spouse in the business? We're both involved in our communities, raising our kids. Like, our spiritual life is a big, I mean, huge driving component to all of this and what we do. Which is funny. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to say this because I think this is kind of interesting. We were talking about this before. I remember when Nicole and I were sitting down and when I was contemplating, um, doing something else. I'm like, if I go work somewhere else or I go, start a business or get a partner, um, they got to share the same spiritual beliefs as I do. And which is really crazy is had this happened 6 months prior, it wouldn't happen
No,
because there was a change in your life, and we'll save that for later. We got to have a little bit of a tease of what we're talking about, but maybe read in between the lines. But like, what a blessing to be taught through organizations and mentors that you and I have had. You and I have had some incredible mentors and
awesome.
incredible opportunities that have taught us a lot. So it's wisdom that we've gained from others through trial and error. So we'll just talk about what's going on in business, maybe things that we're looking to, implement or try, or things that we've seen have worked well. How do you deal with scaling versus sustainability? We're always, for an entrepreneur in business, like trying to find the right people, the right opportunities. I mean, there's a lot. So I think next week we were talking about it. We really wanted to talk about what was Brian and I's decision making process to get into business together. And I think this is really important because I think there's a lot of appeal, like, be your own, business owner or CEO and entrepreneur, how again, business, like, don't do business with, friends or this or that. And I think one thing that was like really unique is when you and I sat down, we're so different, right? Like, we are very, very different people. I'm super serious. I'm very detailed. Brian's got a list of things that he can say and not say. Brian's like, whatever, I threw that away a long time ago. I don't know what you're talking about. So we just definitely approach things differently. Like, our methods are different, but
For
the
sure.
end of the day, which is really cool, and I think, which will be really interesting as to why we've been able to sustain and maintain, is we both personally share the same core values in our own lives and our feelings on, like, entrepreneurship and business and how you should lead your family and how you should treat your customers. Like, we agree 1000% on those items. So when we actually started, man, like, it was hard. Like, don't get me wrong, like, extremely challenging. But as far as like a business plan and kind of going through that whole entrepreneurial operating system thing that I shared with you, like, it was a breeze. Like, I remember being shocked how easy it was for us, but that was because we shared the same core values.
Well, it also allowed us to become a magnet to attract this similar type of people to join the team, join the company with similar values as well. and they've adopted our core values. And I think that is something that's super important. We'll talk about that over the next few episodes. But when you can identify and you have beliefs that are so strong that you don't break, it's okay to say no to people that don't match what you are trying to do to serve the community, or bring on an employee or potential recruit because they don't match what you believe in. And as you said, T, we are so different. Hierarchy, consistent. You go left, I go right. We both go left, we both go right. But when it comes down to it, I think as long as the culture and the belief system is owned by the owners, especially two co-founders that have different backgrounds, even though in the same industry, it's really powerful to see. And it's just seeing our growth and how we've been able to help our clients, and not only help the clients, but also help the clients win and help our partnering agents win and help them make 50, 60, 100 grand more by doing renovations. And there's so much more growth to go. Like, we're 5 years in, I'm excited about the next 5, 15, 50 to see what happens. But it really comes to the core values, I think. That's really key.
And it's pretty cool too, because we've grown stronger in those areas together. And I think we've probably become more alike. Things that maybe, that I was so extreme to Brian's extreme, like we've started to influence each other in those areas, and it's been awesome. Like it wouldn't change a thing, right? We always we can't go back and change anything. Today is the day that we got. We don't know what tomorrow's got, so like give it what you got today. So yeah.
And I'd say this, T. I mean, there's a song called "You Raise Me Up." You raise me up, or there's another one that "You Complete Me." Like, T, you can. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just had to throw it out. I was going to throw something out there.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be right if you didn't rap or sing. Like, I would never do that. I found when Brian and I were testing out platforms that I have mute on here, just like I do on Zoom. So don't worry if Brian gets a little obnoxious. I got the mute button. I got the control. Don't worry. That was like really high on my list, Brian. You didn't know that. Like, gotta have the mute button. Gotta simmer him down. But no, seriously, this is kind of our start of just kind of getting out there, talking to you, put ourselves out there together a little bit, and encourage you guys to tune in. Feel free to we would appreciate, we'd be super grateful for sharing, liking, subscribing. We're trying to figure out, do we go here, do we go there? We'll get there, so bear with us the rest of the month as we kind of dial this in. Let us know what you'd like to hear about. Like I said, we really feel like this core value, how to start a business, some things to think about, I think are important. Because I mean, what's the reality, especially in the real estate? A lot of people are looking for change right now. I certainly hear from folks, you hear from folks that are like, I'm ready I'm not sure that I'm ready to go through another cycle of this real estate. And I'm ready to do something different, and love to share with you guys some of those things. So if Brian, I know Brian and I well, we're both open books. We don't know how to be anything less than authentic, so I can promise you guys we'll be open books with you. So yeah, do that. And hey, if anyone looking to buy, sell, or renovate, definitely reach out. But thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and you'll certainly be hearing from us. Brian, I feel like you got to wrap us out.
I'm just super excited. Like, us kicking this off, we've been talking about this for a little bit now, T. And we were like, how can we give back? What's the portal? Like, how do we do this? So I am super pumped. It's almost like Nelly. If you want to go and take a ride with us, like, instead of me, it's us. So I am ready to go take that ride. Let's do this.
You're crazy. Next time you have to match your song to your voice that you've lost right now, because you're not able to you can't hit the high notes right now. So don't worry, next week he'll bring it. So appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, you guys.